All right, get ready, because today we're going deep into dating etiquette.
Ooh, dating etiquette.
You know, all those unspoken rules and expectations that can make or break a date.
It's a minefield out there.
It really is,
Yeah.
and we're here to give you the knowledge you need to ace those early stages.
To feel confident and graceful.
Exactly. So let's tackle a big one. Who pays?
Oh, the age-old question.
Traditionally, the man paid, right. But things are different now, aren't they?
They've evolved. It used to be tied to men being the breadwinners.
Like an unspoken rule.
Exactly. But now we're seeing a shift, especially with younger people, toward a more equal approach.
So is it all about splitting the bill now?
Well, it's nuanced. One study we're looking at found that offering to split the bill, especially early on, can be seen as really respectful.
Oh, that's interesting.
It shows you see it as a partnership, not a transaction.
Avoiding any feelings of obligation.
Exactly. You're valuing their time, not just their wallet.
Makes sense. So offering to split is good, but what if someone prefers the traditional way?
Totally fine. The key is to be open and honest about it.
Communicate.
Right. Maybe you alternate paying or find a compromise.
Communication is key. Now, another etiquette minefield. Tipping.
Oh, yeah. Tipping is a big one.
It can reveal a lot about someone.
Absolutely. One source even says generosity, especially with tipping, is a super desirable trait. People who tip well are seen as more trustworthy, considerate, even attractive.
So it's about more than just the money.
Right. It shows your values.
What's the rule of thumb for tipping on a date?
In the U.S., it's 15% to 20% for good service. But you might want to go a bit above on a date.
Makes sense to show you appreciate good service.
Exactly. It sends a message.
So we've tackled finances. But another big thing is expectations. Some people are window shopping, others want to buy the whole store. How do you figure that out?
That's a great analogy. People have different goals when dating.
Like they're speaking different languages.
Exactly. That's why honesty about your intentions is so important.
How do you bring that up without being too intense?
It doesn't have to be heavy. Just say, I'm enjoying getting to know you, but I'm curious, what are you looking for?
Nice, casual but direct.
Exactly. And remember, it's a two-way street. Listen to their perspective, too.
Right, finding common ground.
Yes. And what if expectations clash? Like one person wants serious, the other is casual.
That sounds tricky.
It shows how important it is to understand that our values, experiences, even culture shape our expectations.
So how do you deal with those differences respectfully?
Communication and respect. Even if expectations don't match, you can be kind.
Right, recognizing everyone has their own wants.
Exactly. Even if it doesn't work out romantically, you can still learn and end things amicably.
I like that. Clear communication and mutual respect for managing expectations.
Absolutely. And speaking of respect, let's talk about boundaries.
Oh, boundaries. That can be tricky, especially early on.
Absolutely. It's about creating a safe and comfortable space for yourself, especially in dating.
What boundaries should people be aware of?
It can be anything. Physical touch, how often you communicate, how fast things move.
So knowing your comfort zone and communicating it.
Right. And pay attention to their nonverbal cues, too.
Like if they seem uncomfortable with certain topics or being touched.
Yes. Being sensitive to those cues shows respect, like you're really trying to understand them.
Oh, I've definitely misread signals before. Awkward.
It happens. The more you practice, the better you'll get.
One source tells a story about this woman on a date with a guy who seemed really into her.
Oh.
He was attentive, funny, even initiated some touching. She thought he was into her, but as it went on, she got uncomfortable.
I see.
He was moving too fast, not respecting her subtle cues to slow down.
That's a classic example. It shows how crucial it is to be assertive and clearly communicate boundaries, even if it feels awkward.
Right, you don't have to be rude. Just say something like, I'm not comfortable with that yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any decent person will respect that.
So boundaries are about knowing your comfort levels and communicating them.
Yes. It's not about being controlling. It's about a healthy, respectful dynamic.
Where everyone feels safe and respected.
Exactly.
Back again for more dating etiquette. I'm feeling way more prepared for my next date.
That's great. We've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to cover.
Dating can feel like a maze sometimes.
It can, but that's why we're here, to help you navigate it.
Exactly. And something that can make or break a date is phones.
Oh, yeah, phones.
It can kill the vibe.
When you're checking your phone, you're saying, this screen is more interesting than you.
Ouch.
So put the phone away, give them your full attention, show you're present and engaged.
To build that connection.
Yes. Of course there are exceptions. If you're expecting an urgent call, just be polite about it.
Like, excuse me, Got to check in with the babysitter.
Perfect. Acknowledge the interruption, explain briefly, then put it away.
Makes sense. What about past relationships? Is it okay to bring those up?
That depends. One source says it can be healthy to get to know someone,
Oh, interesting.
but only if it's done with self-awareness and sensitivity.
How do you do that?
Don't dwell on the past or compare. If you're always talking about your ex, it can be a red flag.
Like you're not over them.
Exactly. But if it comes up naturally and it's relevant, a brief mention is fine.
Like talking about travel and mentioning you went to Italy with an ex, but then shifting back to your date.
Yes. Keep the focus on the present and getting to know them.
Got it. Okay, another tricky one. Physical touch, especially early on.
That's all about consent. Always make sure they're comfortable.
No assumptions, no pushing boundaries.
Exactly. And consent is ongoing, not just a one-time thing.
Even if you've been dating a while, keep checking in.
Yes. So how do you initiate touch respectfully? Pay attention to their body language.
The subtle cues.
Exactly. If they seem open, a light touch on the arm during conversation.
But if they pull back or seem tense, respects that.
Absolutely. And if you're unsure, just ask, can I hold your hand, or would you like a hug?
I love that. Clear communication.
Takes away the guesswork.
What about ending the date gracefully?
Honesty is best. If you had a great time, let them know.
But what if you don't feel it?
Be upfront and respectful. You don't need a long explanation. I enjoyed talking, but I'm not feeling a romantic connection.
Direct but kind.
Right. And remember, rejection happens. It's not a reflection on you.
Okay, so we covered ending the date. What about who makes the first move?
Focus on reading the signals, respecting boundaries.
Like noticing if they lean in, make eye contact.
Exactly. Those could be signs they're open to a kiss.
But if they pull away or seem uncomfortable, back off.
Yes. And it's always okay to ask, I'd like to kiss you.
So much clearer.
It is.
What about after the date? Any etiquette for follow-up?
It's good to send a message, even just to say you had a good time.
Like, thanks for the date, I enjoyed talking.
Perfect. Shows you were present and appreciated the time.
And if you want to see them again, don't be afraid to say so. Maybe even suggest something specific.
Great idea. It shows initiative.
Okay, so we talked about first date jitters, finances, boundaries, communication.
A lot of ground covered.
But there's still more to explore. In the final part, we'll cover everything from compliments to social media to past relationships.
All those tricky areas.
So stay tuned. We'll help you navigate it all. We're back for the final part of our dating etiquette deep dive. It's amazing how many little things can impact a date.
It's true. Once you get these nuances, it can really help build those connections.
For sure. One thing we haven't touched on is compliments. Everyone loves a good compliment, right?
Absolutely. But there's an art to it, especially on a date.
Is there a certain etiquette around giving compliments?
Definitely. You want to be genuine and specific.
Right, like instead of you look nice, say that color really makes your eyes pop.
Exactly. It's more thoughtful. And try to go beyond looks.
Like compliment their personality.
Yeah. Their humor, intelligence, kindness. That's even more meaningful.
Shows you're paying attention to who they are.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side, are there topics you should avoid on a date?
Oh, good point. Like
It's usually best to steer clear of anything too controversial, like politics or religion.
especially on a first date.
Right. Those can get heated fast, and you don't want to start a debate before you even get to know each other.
Definitely not. Keep it light and fun.
Exactly. And maybe avoid talking too much about work or personal problems.
A date should be an escape.
Yes. It should be enjoyable.
What about social media? Is it ever okay to, like, post about your date?
That's a tricky one. I'd say err on the side of caution, especially early on.
Why is that?
It can feel like an invasion of privacy.
Ah, makes
Like
sense.
you're making it public before you've even defined what you are.
Too much pressure.
Exactly. And even later on, it's always good to check in with your partner before posting about them.
Respect their privacy.
Absolutely. Now, as we wrap up, it's important to remember that etiquette can be different across cultures and even individuals.
Oh, for sure.
What's polite in one place might not be in another.
So many different perspectives.
Oh, exactly. But the core is always respect, consideration, and open communication.
Those are universal.
They are. If you're ever unsure, trust your gut and act with kindness and respect.
Good advice. Dating can be confusing.
It's a journey, not a destination.
That's a good way to put it.
It's about learning, growing, and connecting. Be patient, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Well said. We've covered a lot today. Finances, boundaries, conversation, compliments,
So much good stuff.
and most importantly, being authentic, respectful, and communicating openly.
Those are the keys to building meaningful connections.
They really are. So to wrap up, be yourself, have fun, and treat others with kindness and respect. Until next time.